Hey friends, Wilson here. This is a Saturday morning, early in the morning. I'm about to go to a all-day seminar. So I thought I'd squeeze in a little video before I leave. This is on Gentle Giant, the English progressive rock band, mostly in the 70s. I'm going to be using the Unburied Treasure box for this. It's a really cool box which gives you everything, including tons of live shows, which I haven't even gotten around to listening to all of them yet, as some of them are not of great sound quality. But the albums all sound great. And I'll be showing you the surround sound discs that have been released thus far. Okay. This is Gentle Giant. Came out in 1970. It's a fine debut. That's their emblem. You got the Schulman brothers there, and Kerry Minier, and what's his name? Gary Green or something like that is on guitar. Is it? Let me read that. Oh no, he wasn't there yet. Oh well, they had a different. Oh no, he is on there. Gary Green. My bad, sorry. Okay, I shouldn't be reading these labels. You guys know how my eyes are. Anyways, 1970. This has their longest studio song, which is Nothing at All, which is, that's a really good track. Actually, the whole thing is good. Giant, Funny Ways. Alucard, Isn't It Quiet and Cold? Nothing at All, Why Not? The Queen. Queen is really short. In terms of debut prog albums of 1970, maybe only the first ELP album can compare. See, Giant they're a great band that never got their dues because, as far as I know, they never had a hit anywhere. They never sold a lot of records. They were very consistent from 70 through 77 through the Playing the Fool album, but I'll get to all these individually. And, like a lot of prog bands in the late 70s, they decided to, they wanted to feed their family and pay their bills. And so they decided to go in a more commercial direction, which didn't really work for them. It didn't really work for too many prog bands other than Genesis. So what I'm really going to be focusing on here are the 70 through 77 albums, the Playing the Fool album. When you get the Unburied Treasure box, you get this this Steven Wilson mix of the first album. It's only available here. So you can't get it separately. It's a good surround sound mix, but perhaps not as great as any of the other ones. But, I'm going to recommend it because I paid tons of money for this box set, and it comes along as a bonus. All right, 1971, Acquiring the Taste. Another, LP fold out. Acquiring the Taste of Licking Bums, I guess. I guess that's the English sense of humor. No, that's not a peach. It is someone's bunghole. It's also a strong album. I don't know if it's necessarily better than the first one, but I think some bands might consider it so. Pantagruel's Nativity, Edge of Twilight, The House, The Street, The Room, Acquiring the Taste, Wreck, The Moon is Down, Black Cat, I like that one, and Plain Truth. It's another strong album. Didn't further their career any, although, some may say that it did because it didn't contain any popular songs, but neither did the first. It is still an excellent example of, rather dense prog. The thing about Gentle Giant, at least for me anyway, is that in the early days, and maybe even still to this day, I could listen to one of their records and then not be able to, hum you the melody because it's so complex. Derek's vocal melodies are, you remember that, and you remember the tune. When the next song is playing, you can't. It's like I was listening to Playing the Fool last night. It's the new surround sound mix. I was syncing it with a friend of mine. He lives in San Diego. I live in LA. And I recognize almost all the songs, but I couldn't hear the names of them if I wasn't reading the CD liner notes, So that's how Acquiring the Taste is. I actually have a CDR of this in my car, which I must have 50 or 60 CDRs in my car. So I don't know why of all their albums, this is the one that I chose to bring in my car. But even though I have that added addition of being able to reach for it whenever I want to, I don't think I know Acquiring the Taste any better than I know any of those early Gentle Giant records. Okay, Three Friends came out in 72. All right. It's kind of a concept album of sorts. You know, it's three friends who kind of grew up and then grew apart and whatever. The concept really isn't that important because when I listen to these songs, when I listen to these albums, I'm not really paying attention to the words as much. Prologue, School Days, Working All Day, Peel the Paint, that's a good one. Mr. Class and Quality, and Three Friends, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only 6 songs. All right. And you still have the classic lineup here. You still have all of the Schulmans, Ray, Philip, and Derek. This is a good record. Again, the multis have not been found, so Steven Wilson has not done a surround sound disc of this or Acquiring the Taste. But you can get, he found certain multis of certain songs and put it out as 3-piece suite along with multis from the first album. This was before he found all the multis for the first album and put it on the box set. But I think it's called 3-piece suite. I don't have it, but it's got songs from the first 3 Gentle Giant records. All right, so another strong album came out in 1972, but it is a bit overshadowed by the other Giant album of 72, and that is Octopus. Got that Roger Dean cover there. Roger Dean, who did lots of prog albums, LP covers, in particular, Yes. This is, when you look at online polls or, lists of the best in order Gentle Giant records, this will almost always come up as number 1. It is indeed the first Gentle Giant album I ever bought way back in the 1990s. Yeah, I did not grow up with these guys. Advent of Panurge, great. Raconteur, Troubadour, great. A Cry for Everyone, Knots is awesome. Boys in the Band is awesome. Dogs Live, Think of Me with Kindness, River. Cut for cut, it could be their best album. I may have played this more in my life than any other one, but it doesn't mean that I reach for it the most. This is the Steven Wilson surround sound mix. He did not find all the multis for this album either, and he just upmixed the stuff that he could not find, but it doesn't sound that bad. If I didn't know it, I doubt I'd be able to tell the difference, and I'd have to read which tracks were upmixed to figure it out. But of course, those with audiophile ears can probably tell easier than me. But all of these Gentle Giant surround sound discs are not expensive. Last time I checked. So if you've got the 5.1 rig, these aren't in Atmos. Go on online and find them. Bet you can probably get them all for about $50 or so. All right. So picking up steam, their career a bit in 1972. All right, 73, In a Glass House. When I first bought this box, several years ago, I had never heard this album, and it really struck me. At the time, this was my favorite Gentle Giant LP. I don't know if it is anymore because I've listened to all of the stuff, somewhat, over the years. I do like to listen to them, with my prog loving friends. So we sync these albums, maybe not more than 1 or 2 a year though. So I don't know if this is still my favorite one, but it's great, as so many of these are. The Runaway, love it. An Inmate's Lullaby, Way of Life, good. Experience, A Reunion, and In a Glass House. Not a lot. In a Glass House is 8 minutes and 8 seconds. In terms of prog bands, they didn't really have that many long songs. As something that's important to know. Their music is so dense, and it changes, time signatures and meters so often that you think, oh, these guys are gonna have a bunch of, side long epics. No. To my knowledge, they don't even have a studio track that exceeds 10 minutes or even reaches 10 minutes. So like I said, that track on their first album is the longest one. So In a Glass House, none of this album has been released by Steven Wilson in surround. So to my knowledge, he can find nothing for this album. Or I'm wrong, and it'll be coming out next year, right? I don't know. All right, 74, one of their better efforts, Power and the Glory. All right. Yeah, this is also in surround, complete surround. I think that all the multis were found. I think this chronologically, this is the first album is the first one, and then this one. So it's if anything, it's even more dense and complex than usual. You know, I mean, this is not for the for the faint of heart. If you don't like prog, I wouldn't come near, you know, bands like Gentle Giant or Vandergraaf Generator. They got to be a Vandergraaf Generator video too. I love them. You know, prog heads love them, but there's a reason this would not be played on the radio. It's not, you know, your average Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Leonard Skinner loving guy, of which I love all those bands too, is not going to go for this. But I love it. Since I've read you all the other tracks and all the other albums. Proclamation, So Sincere, both of those are great. Aspirations, Playing the Game, Cogs and Cogs, No Gods of Man, The Face, and Valedictory. All right? So another strong one, perhaps stronger than usual for them, but like I said, I really recommend all these thus far. We have, to my ears, the maybe even better than Power and the Glory, Freehand. Freehand came out in 75. It's also, you know, difficult, but it's slightly maybe more listener friendly than Power and the Glory. Again, the Stephen Wilson mix. This really sounds good. So does Power and the Glory. Found all the multis for this. No up mixing. Let's see what we got here. Just the Same, On Reflection, Freehand, Time to Kill, His Last Voyage. Talibant, which is kind of like the medieval number, right? And Mobile. Yeah, I mean, one more cool thing about these surround sound discs too is that there's videos for them done by one of the Schulman's children, I think. I think all of these feature that, except maybe the first one that's on the box set. I don't know, but all these standalone releases have, you know, video, and you know, sometimes they're computer generated, but it's cool. You know, it's something to watch. I wish more surround sound discs had this as you're watching the DVDs or the Blu-rays. So Freehand, another. You know, I wish I could tell you more discerning things about these albums, but I mean, there's not. If you've heard one Gentle Giant album and you've really absorbed it, then you know what you're in for, and that when you hear the next one, you know, it's just more of the same. Preference for one over the other is just, you know, it's like an exercise in subjectivity, which of course discerning all art is. But I really don't have a favorite Gentle Giant album, and I don't know if they ever made a 5-star record. I guess maybe in the minds of most people, Octopus would come the closest. But again, it's not necessarily my favorite, you know? I don't know. All right. What do we got here now? Interview. 76. Perhaps not as immediate as Freehand and Power and the Glory, but it's another strong one. You know, I mean, I'm going to tell you, this is another solid record. 1976, we're definitely in the, you know, Power and the Glory, Freehand, and Interview are the mid 70s, and they're at their peak here. And I'm not going to say that this is any loss in quality. Another great Stephen Wilson surround sound set. Found all the multis for this as well. What we got here? Interview, great song. Give It Back, also great. Design, Another Show, Empty City, Timing, and I Lost My Head. Timing was on the surround sound mix of Playing the Fool last night, and I don't think that was on the original LP because I didn't recognize that, but it's on here nonetheless. All right, okay, 77. I've been mentioning it the whole time. Is Playing the Fool, which is their great double LP, recorded in '76 in Europe. For some reason, on the new surround sound mix, they don't follow the LP sequence, and they jump around with the tracks, and then they added timing, and there might be something else new on here, but I didn't notice it. But it sounds great, for a live album. This was always recorded very well anyway. When I think of great live prog albums in the '70s, the obvious ones come to mind first, like Yes Songs and Welcome Back My Friends and Bursting Out, but this should be included there too. That Vandergraaf album from '78 that almost sounds like a punk record whose name escapes me right now, but that's a great live album as well. So this should be up there too. Highly recommend Playing the Fool. And this is the last time, to my mind, that the band would be playing to their talents, should I say, because later that same year, The Missing Piece comes out. It is a more commercialized Vandergraaf. It's still clearly prog, it still sounds like it's the same band. They've, by this point and before, they've lost a Schulman, but it's not bad. And again, there's the surround sound mix. I think it's even Wilson, and all the multis were found. So if you like the album, again, these are the way, and you have the surround sound replays on. These are the way that I recommend that you hear them. But it's no. I mean, what came out in '77? It's no Going for the One. It's no Animals. It's no Songs from the Wood. It's just a fairly decent or above average Giant LP. 2 weeks in Spain. I'm turning around. Betcha thought we couldn't do it. Let's not talk about that track. Who do you think you are? Mountain Time. As old as you're young. Memories of old days. Winning for nobody. And there's an outtake of Winning. It's fine. It's fine. But I always got to be honest with you guys when I'm assessing these records. And I'm going to come to what I think, and I'm going to say what most fans think, is their worst album, Giant for a Day. I haven't played this, folks, in years. I don't remember what it even sounds like. It's just, it's them going in that commercial direction again. It's like, it's these guys trying to water down their sound and be highly accessible when having this complicated music is what's attracting the fans in the first place. When you lose what you have to get something else that you want in your art, it's never good. Words from the Wise. Thank you, Giant for a Day, Spooky Boogie, Take Me, Little Brown Bag, Friends, No Stranger, It's Only Goodbye, and Rock Climber. As I read those titles, they're not even standing out to me. I couldn't even tell you anything about any of those songs. So, Giant for a Day. They wisely, perhaps, take 1979 off, or at least they don't release an album in '79, and they come back in 1980 with Civilian, which is a not bad record. It's not a prog album. It's more like a standard kind of, I don't know, what we used to call new wave kind of album, but they pull it off in much the same way that the Pretty Things pulled off their, what was it called, Crosstalk. That came out in 1980. That was also like their new wave album. That's perhaps a better album than this, but this is not bad. It's definitely better than Giant for a Day. And this is another one as Giant for a Day that I have not played in a long time, but I remember it as being not too different in quality. It doesn't sound like it, but not too different in quality to The Missing Piece. So, if they don't end with a high, they at least didn't go out with a whimper. So, Gentle Giant, what to say as I wrap it up, as I approach 20 minutes here. I'm going to say, one of the best prog bands, certainly one of my favorites, in that era, the 70s, which is my favorite era for prog. I don't know how it could be anyone's favorite. like I said, I mean, if I was going to make a list of great bands that I never heard any of their songs on the radio, Giant would be one of them. You know, there's probably, I wasn't saying there's probably like a decent amount of prog heads who don't own any Giant, but that's probably not true. Those are probably the only people who own Jones Giant records. I'm not going to suggest you run out and get Unburied Treasure unless you're a Uber fan like I am. And it's out of print. It was issued twice in 2 different runs, both of which are out of print now, because you know each time that they do it, it's a limited edition. But it gives you everything you need, except for all the other surround sound mixes besides the first LP. I can't think of too much else to say. So if you're a Gentle Giant fan, leave a comment. This is Matt signing off. Got some more for you this weekend. I'm not even going to tell you what they are because I might change my mind. Until next time.